Hello, LGBTQ plus DL men, women who secretly love us and support us. And if you don't identify with any of those labels, you're still free to subscribe to the channel.
So twin flames, by definition, are two individuals holding the masculine and feminine polarity of God. Two individuals who hold the identical electronic blueprint in life.
I started fasting today, and before I continue the video, I gotta show y'all what we working with, y'all. Boom, 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 boom. You know, so here we are. I'm not sure how many pounds I am or where I am in my weight. I just know what I look like, right? And I know the clothes that I can fit, and I know the clothes that I cannot fit. Like I had bought these lace panties or whatever. They man panties, they man lace panties, right? And before y'all be talking about that's a sign, you don't need to be wearing no panties. You know what? Find another creator to tell that they don't need to be wearing lace man panties, because if I want to wear lace man panties, guess what? They getting put on. But anyway, I'm sort of starting this fast because there are some clothing, some clothes that I think that I would look really good in, but I kind of want to slim down a little bit in my size. And Mercury being in retrograde, she's finally about to leave. I can't wait for her ass to get the fuck up out of here. Now, if you've seen my previous video, you know that I made a lemonade master cleanse, and I was going to do that video here, like for this video, and just kind of like talk about it, because I did that video about 4 years ago, and I intentionally was trying to lose weight. And with this lemonade master cleanse, girl, I'm already wanting to quit. Like, I'm already wanting to not do the fast. I'm already like in this energy of like, who cares, you know, about how much weight a person can gain or whatever. But at the same time, I also was glad that I started eating healthier foods after I did my fast, for the reason that during that time Rona was still around, and it was still like the pandemic was happening. And then I had some type of message that there was possibly like another pandemic coming, but that energy has somewhat subsided. I know in some places there are people that have become unhealthy in aspects of, I know it was like flu season and people were catching those things, and I know Rona is still around for some people. Some people still have like symptoms of it, but thankfully Spirit has allowed me to remain healthy. Yeah. Although there isn't this feeling of Rona being something that's going to happen again as big as it did happen in 2020, there is this feeling like, just in case, you know, something arises, like you know, like something like I know the flu is around and stuff like that, you know. I just want to be like in a healthier place. Y'all seen the video where I was talking about being vegan, being raw vegan, and stuff like that. And I enjoyed myself for the holidays. And so now I just kind of want to be in a healthier habits, or it could be the energy from other people just wanting to be in a healthier place. I know that the other reason that I kind of wanted to be in a more like healthier, not even like, not even saying that I'm like unhealthy, because I am healthy, but I've showed y'all the way that my body looks, and I just kind of want to be more appealing, not for anybody else, but for myself, because when I started gaining weight, I wasn't really wanting to gain weight. I wasn't wanting to gain this much weight. I'll say that. But I think that Spirit sometimes has us to do things like gain weight, or to quit a certain habit, I guess you can say, like, or like when people have certain goals, right? Like I had a goal that I was going to be eating plant-based, and I was going to eat nothing but plant foods and fast a whole lot and things like that. And I think that Spirit sort of kind of brought me into this belief that I could just enjoy life. And I know that there's this thing about to achieve spiritual enlightenment, you have to be a raw vegan, and you have to commit to certain types of lifestyles to be considered spiritual by certain beings and things like that. But I think that when you are, I heard somebody say, well, I think that, right? I used to think that way, but as many of you know, and I've spoke about this, you know, time and time again, but I think that it's important to speak about it, is because I truly discovered, like, not, I want to call it salvation, liberation, right? When I went to jail, I think of it as like, yeah, nobody wants to be in jail. Thank God I'm not there anymore. But I think that also, when I did go to jail and I was telling them that I was a plant-based eater and I was vegan, and they consistently brought meat, and they consistently didn't have like, they didn't really accommodate, but I also was not verbal with them, and it was because of the reason that it's as if I wasn't being heard. That's what it felt like at that time. And so I eventually started eating meat again. That's just what happened. Is I felt like if I would have advocated for myself more, or spoken up for myself more, then that would have kind of, my thought process then was that if I speak up for myself, like I realized that on my enlightenment journey, like when I started to become enlightened, I understood that when people make choices, right, even if it's the slightest bit wrong, there's just this negative, there's a reaction to, or not even a reaction, but there's just certain outcomes sometimes that are undesirable, that are undesired when you make an incorrect choice. And I didn't want to say that, but I, you know, because I understand that when you say something, you can start, like, you create these like branches of like, when you say something, you can manifest certain like just paths for yourself, right? But if I didn't speak about these things, that would be kind of like, it would be purposeless to experience life and not to make choices for yourself, if that makes sense. I hope that this makes sense. Anyway, let's continue. I was looking at the other part of the video, and I forgot to tell y'all that like the The lace man panties, they were just too small. Like, I bought them in a smaller size than what I am. Like, currently, I enjoyed it. You know, I got the ass back there. The ass is ass, and you know what I'm saying. It's big, juicy. And when I had started to slim down, you know, I had like a handful of butt cheek. Like, it was just like a handful of butt cheek. And most men that did find me attractive when I was slimmer, they would think, "Oh, you must be a type. You a type." But I disclosed that for the partner that I am interested in. But most of y'all know, got a nice pussycat back there. Yeah, not versatile in the idea of what happens in the bedroom. If you know, you know. And if you don't know, I said that I'll probably make a video about it, so maybe that'll be on the list. But anyway, I think that it's important to speak on spiritual things within this video. And as many of you know, I identify with being a part of the Twin Flame Collective, and at this point on the journey, I have been experiencing the Twin Flame separation part of the journey, although there is no true Twin Flame separation because it's a soul journey. I have found it interesting interesting when it comes to dating men. And many of you probably have known that I have had this experience that's been happening with my body that kind of reminds me that I'm on this twin flame journey, but it also reminds me of the trauma that I experienced right after I was released from jail. And I've just chose not to really speak on it because it's happened and it's time to move forward. I consider myself healed from it, but because it continues to come up, it just sometimes it's like a battle of, well, have I truly healed from it? Or, you know, I address it because I think that it's important to speak about it, but at the same time, yeah, I'm not sure. And it's okay to not know. It's okay to not know. It's okay to, you know, be on your journey, because sometimes your journey, being authentic as it is meant to be authentic so that when another being experiences said journey, they are inspired to be as open as you are, or to build some type of courage to get through an experience that they've had. So anyway, I think that it's important to lead. I keep saying leave, right? To lead with truth, or at least try to. And when I hear leave, right? Because I was getting that message to leave where, you know, I've heard that you can't heal in the same place of where you were hurt. And my sort of comment or commentary to that is that I had left or had attempted to leave where I was hurt, or the people that I knew were going to here's the thing about being a medium. If something is going to happen to you, or if something's going to happen to another being, in most cases you are aware that something is going to happen. Maybe you may not know exactly what is going to happen and what time or day, but in most cases you would know if something is going to happen. And when I knew that these things were going to happen, Girl was trying to flee, was trying to get away. It was like, don't want to experience that. Getting up out of here. But at the same time, I think that had I been still, truly still, like STILL, if I had been in stillness, I wouldn't have ran, and that wouldn't have caused the experiences that were had. But at the same time, even in stillness, there wasn't like this true calmness at that, like within the experience. Like there wasn't like this true bliss within the experience. But at the same time, I think the focus at that time was knowing that I was a twin flame and understanding God's understanding what God was allowing me to experience, and understanding how this other being that is supposed to be the other half of my soul was, what part did that play within the experience, basically trying to understand the journey. And anyway, that's why I think that, like, now I kind of think about the purpose of being in the twin flame experience. Like, I know that there are so many twins that say, oh, you're going to achieve union, and union is going to happen, and this is exactly what you're going to achieve, and it just hasn't happened, you know? Now, I will say this, that is 100% true, and that's 100% not true. So like a 50-50, right? For this reason, your true twin or your true mirror is God. So without God, the experience is just non-existent. But if your journey is with this other being, and that's your purpose, like y'all have the same soul, like even though it's soul work, everything that is reflected back to you from God is about them. So that's why I just don't understand the twin flame separation part of the journey. Like, I get it, but I don't get it, you know? Anyway, I've been open to date other people because within the 3D, my twin flame has spoken about being heterosexual, and or he spoke about liking pussy, and I spoke about liking dang-a-lang. Can I say pussy on here? I say K. He like the kitty cat, and I like the thang-a-lang. You know what I'm saying? So I've been understanding to that, and I don't understand whether God wanted me to be like, oh, you're gay, be true to who you are, you know? Because here's the thing about a twin flame journey, a lot of people think that it's supposed to be like this match made in heaven, and just, I mean, it is a match made in heaven, right? You have to know where heaven is. You have to understand heaven, right? Heaven is, to me, it is something within. It is a part of the universe. You have to understand heaven, but the thing about it being a match made in heaven, if you come into this existence for, forgetting who you are, only to have the experience and remembering who you are, that it isn't an easy journey. It can be, but in most cases it's not. Have you ever seen like a person that has what do they call it when people have amnesia and they forget who they are, and then when their friends are trying to tell them who they are, it's like, yeah, their friends are trying to tell them who they are, but only that person truly remembers the full details of who they actually are. And who you actually are is not like defined by things that things outside of the true self. Like when people say, or you see the movies like Lion King where they say, "Do you know who you are?" Right? I know who I am, but do you know who you are? And the depictions of, even I saw this within Pocahontas, and I've been thinking about Pocahontas for a while, right? Like, I wonder will they make a live action about kind of like sort of like what they did with Lion King. I wonder will they do that with Pocahontas. But anyway, you know, um, something of the wind. Anyway, they within that movie and even within Lion King, they have these parts about the circle of life and circles of the wind. When the wolf cries to the wind. But anyway, it kind of is explaining how everything is interconnected, right? So beyond the twin flame journey, the true self is a connection of becoming aware that you are actually God, and God is experiencing itself not only through you but through everything that exists, right? And so when I think about that, I also thought about the idea of Lucifer and God being the same, because God truly, to me, a lot of people say, "Oh, Jesus is God, our Lord and Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ." They call Jesus God, right? And so, even growing up, had a difficult time understanding how people would say, "Oh, Jesus is God," but I was just like, Jesus had his experience, and then he died, which is what happens to every other living being, right? And so I was just like, well, why would they call Jesus God and not call everybody God? It's kind of how it was kind of like being thought about in my mind, right? And so when I became consciously aware of what God meant for myself, what it meant to experience God, right? I realized that God is an energy. And I'm just speaking from my personal experience and the things that I have researched. Is God is an energy, not a he, not a she, but we say these things to explain the energy of God, right? I think that God, from what I have learned, is a complete energy of not only divine feminine but also divine masculine. But anyway, I say this to say that when I think about the twin flame journey, had I not been aware of the journey and had it not found me, I probably would have never. I would have been oblivious to it, you know? And so even when I told my twin in the 3D, like in the actual world, I was just like, when I was explaining to him that, oh, we're twin flames, or you're my twin flame in some type of way. And I think that there have been so many feminine that have probably told their twin flame that they're twin flames, because it's difficult for the feminine to ignore the journey. And so I often thought, well, if it's difficult for us to ignore it, do they experience it the same way? And it doesn't seem that they do, because if they did, if they truly experienced it the same way that we experienced it, you would think that they would cut off these ties with these beings that are considered karmic or whatever, and they would want to seek the feminine and seek their true twin flame. Not to say that they aren't, but it's the way that it's perceived from most feminine. I would, I know, I know that it has to be perceived that way, because I have even seen on, there was this catfish show online. I think it was actually on a TikTok, and she was like, you're my twin flame." She's like, "I thought that you were my twin flame." And the way that the masculine responded was kind of like a typical masculine answer. He didn't deny the existence of them being twin flames, but he was just kind of like nonchalant about it, which is how the masculine usually presents. It's not that they're just like, "Oh, you're not my twin flame," but they're kind of like how most other feminine have described it, or what I have seen online, is that the masculine sort of presents as not feeling that they deserve the love that the feminine is able to allow them to receive. But when I think about the journey, I think about how fast I awaken to the journey and the things that I released. Like many of you also know that I was a fiance to a soulmate, and I left, or I ended that relationship because I became aware of my twin flame. And I didn't think that it would be fair to experience, I didn't think that it would be fair to hide these feelings from my soulmate, and knowing that I have these truer feelings for my twin flame. And I didn't know how to experience both of these energies like that. And so that's also what has had me in this energy of being, I guess you could say, they call it being single, like not in a relationship with, another partner. And that has been the reason. The struggle with that experience is that my twin has been with a partner because he has, when I did open up to him about the journey, he spoke that he liked the female anatomy. And so I respected that, and, or my idea of respecting that was allowing him to experience those women. And then my question was to God was, well, did I create this experience with my thoughts, feelings, and emotions? Or is it it actually, like, I was questioning, was God lying to me? But then I started to notice, I heard guilt. I started to notice all of the things that God actually showed me that kind of like were saying, "Oh, this is your twin. This is them," right? And I started to believe fully when I realized that if I'm experiencing signs that I'm delivering truthful information to other beings that, or don't identify with being a psychic, and it being true to them, then when I receive the same messages for myself about this other being that I am saying is my twin flame, and it has to be true. Like it can't not be true. But this is what I will end this part of the conversation with, about the masculine and what I learned kind of like at the beginning of the journey. Before I get into what I was going to speak about, I want to also say that when I was receiving information from like the internet, like with twin flame coaches and things like that, a lot of the information that I was attracted to actually were videos that had something to that they were somewhat connected to my twin in some type of way to allow me to understand that, oh, this has some type of connection to my twin, right? Like for example, I'll use an example. Say for example, if my twin was a certain zodiac sign, then the reader or the coach probably would wear something that had that zodiac sign, or their channel on YouTube would have something about their zodiac sign to somewhat remind me, oh, like that's your twin. You're attracted to this information because it is still somewhat connected to them. Like even when I deliver a message, sometimes, like, you know how a medium will get some type of clairvoyant message. Sometimes the messages come through as like his birthday number or things like that. Like sometimes the people that I meet will could have possibly his birthday number, his birthday same birth date. I've met people that it has been like that. But anyway, to get back to what I was speaking about, in terms of what I learned at the beginning of the journey and how the masculine kind of operates, and this is it also, this is kind of like a reflection of like not the 3D experience of them, but the soul journey, right? And what this twin flame coach said, which truly made sense, is that he basically, the image that he painted was a person waking up in the morning, and imagine a person waking up in the morning and having to tell themselves in the mirror or walking past a mirror that that is them. They don't have to do that. Nobody has to, well, people that are consciously aware, right? And don't have any type of amnesia or any type of, deficiency. I guess anything like wrong with them, I guess you can say, right? If they ever walk past a mirror, they're always going to know who they are. Once you become aware of who you are, you don't have to, like, and I'm just speaking about the physical body. Once you walk past a mirror, you know who you are. Like when you see your physical body, if you see a picture of yourself, you know that that's you. Just like but we're going to use the mirror, right? When you walk past the mirror, you know yourself when you walk past the mirror. And so the masculine or your true self doesn't have to tell itself that it is itself. And he also added that it's just like with feeling some type of way about yourself. You don't have to tell yourself that you feel that way about yourself, because you know you feel that way about yourself. And so the experience of your twin is the same way. And so that's why most feminine think that they have did something wrong when or this is why feminine are told, don't tell your twin flame that they're your twin flame, because they are meant to enjoy the journey of realizing that you are their twin flame, the same way that you have enjoyed the journey of understanding the journey. Because by telling them, it's not wrong, right? Because it's actually a part of the journey, right? It's a part of the journey. It's a part of the story of the journey. But when you give people the answers to the exam, it's kind of like you aren't meant to give people the answers to the exam. You're meant to allow them the experience, because if you aren't allowing them the experience, then you're basically taking from them. And so that's how you can create karma within the twin flame journey. So and here's the thing, because the journey is protected with you and your twin, it's not always wrong, but if you continue to do it, that karma will continue to build up. But my thought process was, what if we are meant to tell our twins that they're supposed to be, in union with us, and we just have been told that many times, but at the same time we can't be oblivious that twin flames before us have spoken about us not having to communicate. We don't have to communicate that we are who we are to our twin, because they, in the soul energy, know that they are our twin. And I hope that helps you understand it a lot more. When I was right before I started speaking about that, I like glanced over to the stove, and I saw this fire, from the aisle of the stove. And it's off. It isn't turned, I don't have any of the aisles turned on right now, but that just showed me, kind of seeing that imagery, that clairvoyant message is kind of like the spark of you've been lit, the spark of the journey, and so I want to say this. I know that there are a lot of twins that they are on this journey and they choose to be coaches and start their business in that way. And I know that I have experienced enough of the twin flame journey to start a business with being a twin flame, yet I also have other talents and abilities that I kind of want to be a part of my business. So, for example, there have been so many musicians that speak about, twin, where have you been? Nobody knows me like you do. Oh. I'm not saying that artist is a twin flame, but I'm saying some twins choose to deliver information artistically and in other ways besides just being a twin flame coach. And I heard vocal coach. So yeah, I'm working on that. And because I am a medium, a lot of the creations that I have created have not only been liberating, but they also have been channeled messages for myself. And I'm trying to understand how to receive these messages and also create something that is fresh and new without it seeming as it was copied and pasted into a song, I guess you can say. But if you like this video, interact with it. Like it, comment, share it. And until we meet again, toodaloo.
It is then the matrix of each one's own I am presence, each one's individual Christ self. Each one is a full and whole and complete person, and intended again to become the androgynous whole. but forevermore in service, in holding the balance of life, in holding the flame of God as Father and as Mother, that counterpart is the one, is irreplaceable.